Do you believe love can overcome even death? This is the most moving story that ever happened in Brazil. And it's real. Juiz de Fora, Minas Gerais, 1976. A family experiences the worst nightmare parents can face. Little Rafael, only 6 years old, is hospitalized with a serious kidney disease called nephritis. Doctors fight desperately, but his condition deteriorates rapidly. Maria Helena, the boy's mother, hasn't slept for days. Her hands tremble as she holds her son's cold little hand. "My love, Mommy is here," she whispers, even knowing that Rafael can barely open his eyes. João Carlos, the father, a strong man who never cried in front of anyone, this time cannot contain his tears. "He's so small, my God. Why him?" he questions silently, watching the fragile little body connected to machines. It was a rainy Monday when the machines started beeping strangely. The doctors rushed in, but it was too late. Rafael's heart stopped beating at 2:30 p.m. The silence that followed was deafening. Maria Helena collapsed. Her cry of pain echoed through the hospital corridors. "My son! My boy!" she screamed, trying to hug the now lifeless little body. João Carlos needed to be supported by 2 people. His legs simply couldn't support him anymore. In the following days, the house was plunged into deep sadness. Rafael's toys remained scattered around the living room, as if he would return at any moment to continue playing. His little room became a silent sanctuary. No one had the courage to touch anything. Maria Helena began wandering around the house like a ghost. She didn't eat, barely spoke, only cried. João Carlos tried to be strong, but inside he was shattered. How could they move forward after losing the most precious thing they had? It was a neighbor who suggested, "Why don't you look for Casa do Caminho? They say there's a very special lady there who helps people." See, but soon you'll discover something that changed everything. The neighbor's suggestion echoed in Maria Helena's mind. Casa do Caminho. She had never heard of it, but what more could she lose? The pain was so intense that any hope, however small, seemed worth it. 5 days after Rafael's funeral, the couple decided to visit the place. It was a cloudy Thursday when they arrived at Almirante Barroso Street, in the Paineiras neighborhood. The house was simple, welcoming, with a gate always open, a symbol that everyone was welcome there. Isabel Salomão de Campos, a middle-aged woman with gentle eyes and a warm smile, received them personally. There was something special about her, a peace that was contagious, a serenity that calmed even the most wounded hearts. "Welcome," said Isabel, leading them to a private room. "I know you lost your little boy." The words came out with such affection that Maria Helena immediately felt understood. João Carlos, skeptical by nature, observed everything with suspicion. How could a stranger help them with such deep pain? But as Isabel spoke about the continuity of life and eternal love, something in his chest began to warm. "Death doesn't exist," Isabel explained gently. "What we call death is just a change of state. Do you think that a love as pure as yours for Rafael would simply disappear? Love is the only force capable of uniting worlds." Maria Helena held her husband's hand tightly. For the first time in days, she felt a hint of hope. But he was so small. "Where is he now?" she asked with a choked voice. Isabel closed her eyes for a few moments, as if listening to something that no one else could hear. "He's fine, very fine. And he asks me to tell you that he loves you very much. He shows me a red toy car. Does this make sense?" The couple looked at each other in shock. The red car was Rafael's favorite toy. How could she know that? But what Isabel said next left everyone speechless. there's something more, something very special. And then she made a revelation that would change their lives forever. Isabel remained silent for long minutes, her eyes closed, as if receiving a very important message. The atmosphere became charged with a different, almost palpable energy. "Raphael is here with us at this moment," she said finally, with a soft but firm voice. "He wants you to know that his departure was not by chance. There was a greater purpose." Maria Helena felt chills all over her body. João Carlos, even skeptical, realized that something extraordinary was happening. "He shows me images. You tried to have other children before him, didn't you?" Isabel asked. The couple confirmed. They had lost 2 pregnancies before Raphael was born. "Raphael chose you as parents," Isabel continued, "but his mission on Earth was short this time. He came to teach about unconditional love, to prepare the way for something greater." "What does that mean?" questioned João Carlos, his voice trembling. Isabel opened her eyes and looked directly at Maria Helena. "It means he will return. Not today, not tomorrow, but he will return to you." The silence that followed was profound. Maria Helena felt her heart racing. "What do you mean, return?" "The bond of love that unites you is so strong that Raphael chose to come back. He will be your son again," Isabel explained with absolute conviction. João Carlos stood up abruptly. "This is impossible. People don't come back from the dead." "They don't come back from the dead," Isabel agreed calmly, "but they are reborn. Reincarnation is a natural law of the universe, and when there is very deep love, souls meet again." Maria Helena began to cry, but this time they weren't tears of pain alone. There was hope mixed in. "How will I know if it's him?" Isabel smiled. "You will know. Love recognizes love. Raphael will be physically identical. The same eyes, the same smile, the same marks on the body. And you will feel in your heart that it's him." "When?" asked Maria Helena, almost whispering. "Soon. Very soon. Prepare your hearts, because a miracle is coming." But what the couple didn't imagine was that this prophecy would be fulfilled in an even more extraordinary way than they could dream. The months that followed were an emotional roller coaster for Maria Helena and João Carlos. Some days, hope pulsed strong in their chests. On others, disbelief and pain returned, with full force. "Aren't we just fooling ourselves?" questioned João Carlos on sleepless nights. "Isn't this just a way to deal with the loss?" Maria Helena, in turn, began dreaming about Raphael almost every night. In the dreams, he appeared as a healthy, smiling boy, running towards her. "Mommy, I'm going to come back," he said, always repeating the same phrase. 3 months after the meeting at Casa do Caminho, something unexpected happened. Maria Helena began feeling morning sickness, fatigue. Symptoms she knew very well. "João, I think I'm pregnant," she announced one September morning, holding a pharmacy test with trembling hands. The result was positive. João Carlos was in shock. They weren't trying to have another child. In fact, they thought it would be a betrayal to Raphael's memory. "How did this happen?" he asked, confused. "What if it's him?" whispered Maria Helena, her eyes shining. "What if it's our Raphael coming back?" During the entire pregnancy, strange things began to happen. Maria Helena didn't have any of the problems she had faced in previous pregnancies. On the contrary, she felt strangely at peace, as if protected by an invisible force. At night, when she placed her hand on her belly, She felt as if the baby responded to her touch in a familiar way. "My love, is it you?" she whispered, and a sensation of warmth took over her entire body. João Carlos, initially resistant, began to notice disturbing coincidences. The pregnancy had exactly the same characteristics as Rafael's pregnancy. The morning sickness stopped in the same week. The baby's movements began in the same period. "This can't be coincidence," he murmured, placing his hand on his wife's belly. At that moment, the baby gave a strong kick, as if responding to the father's presence. The birth was scheduled for June 1977, exactly 1 year and 1 month after Rafael's death. Maria Helena knew that would be the moment of truth. Would the impossible really happen? June 15, 1977, dawned sunny in Juiz de Fora. Maria Helena woke up with strong contractions at 5 a.m. "João, it's time!" she shouted, feeling a mixture of anxiety and expectation like she had never experienced before. The rush to the hospital was desperate. João Carlos drove with sweating hands, while Maria Helena breathed deeply, trying to control her anxiety. "What if it's not him? What if we're creating a fantasy?" she thought. But there was something different about that birth. A sense of familiarity, as if everything was exactly as it should be. At 2:30 p.m., exactly the same time Rafael had departed, a beautiful boy weighing 3.2 kiloderm was born. The silence in the delivery room was absolute when the nurse lifted the baby. Maria Helena and João Carlos were paralyzed. It was Rafael. Exactly, Rafael. The same expressive brown eyes, the same face shape, even the same small birthmark on the left arm. A star-shaped mark that Rafael had in the same place. "My God!" whispered João Carlos, tears flowing freely down his face. "It's him. It's really him." Maria Helena couldn't stop crying. When she took the baby in her arms, he immediately stopped crying and looked into her eyes in a way she instantly recognized. It was Rafael's look, sweet, intelligent, full of love. "Welcome back, my love," she whispered, kissing the soft forehead of the newborn. The news spread quickly among family and friends. Some reacted with skepticism, others with fascination. But everyone who saw the baby was impressed by the striking physical resemblance. The doctors couldn't explain it. "It's genetically possible, but statistically almost impossible for 2 children of the same couple to be so identical," commented the pediatrician. They decided to call him Gabriel, messenger of God. But deep down, everyone knew who he really was. In the first months, the evidence only increased. Gabriel cried only when hungry or sleepy, exactly like Rafael. He smiled the same way, made the same gestures with his little hands. But what happened when Gabriel turned 2 years old, left the entire family speechless? Gabriel grew up as a normal child, healthy and happy. But as he approached 2 years of age, he began showing behaviors that left Maria Helena and João Carlos intrigued and moved. The first strange thing happened when Gabriel was playing in the living room. He picked up a yellow toy car, but stopped, shook his head, and went looking for something. He searched through the toy box until he found a red car identical to the one Rafael adored. "This one," he said, smiling satisfied. It was one of the first words he pronounced clearly. Maria Helena felt a chill. How did Gabriel know about the red car? They had never mentioned this specific preference of Rafael's. But this was just the beginning. Gabriel began having strange memories. One day, while passing in front of the hospital where Rafael had died, the 2-year-old pointed to the building and said, "Mommy, hurt here." João Carlos braked abruptly. "He's never been to this hospital," he murmured to his wife. The coincidences multiplied. Gabriel was afraid of the same thing Raphael feared: thunder. But curiously, he didn't learn this fear. He was simply born with it. Every time a storm approached, he ran to his mother's lap exactly as his brother used to do. His favorite food was the same: pasta with tomato sauce. The way he slept was identical, on his side, with his little hand under his face. Even the nightmares were similar. Gabriel would wake up screaming about hurt in tummy, the same symptom Raphael presented before they discovered the nephritis. But the most impactful moment happened on a Sunday afternoon. Maria Helena was organizing an album of old photos when Gabriel approached. He began leafing through the pages until he stopped at a specific photo. "Me," he said, pointing to a photo of Raphael at 4 years old, smiling in the home garden. Maria Helena felt her legs weaken. "No, my love, that's Daddy when he was little," she lied, trying to protect her son from such a complex truth. Gabriel shook his head energetically. "No, me! Me, here!" he insisted, tapping his little finger on the photo. That night, Maria Helena called Isabel Salomão. "Isabel, I need to talk to you. Gabriel he's remembering." "It was expected," Isabel responded calmly. "Souls that return through love usually keep some memories, especially in the early years. It's proof that love conquered death." But what Gabriel said at 3 years old shocked even Isabel. Gabriel was playing in the garden on a sunny afternoon when Maria Helena approached to call him for snack time. The boy stopped playing, looked directly into his mother's eyes, and said something that left her breathless. "Mommy, when I died, I saw you crying a lot." Maria Helena felt the world spin. Her legs trembled so much that she needed to lean on the gate. "What did you say, my love?" Gabriel continued playing as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I was sad that Mommy cried. But the little angels said I could come back so Mommy would stop crying." João Carlos, who had arrived from work at that moment, heard the conversation. He approached slowly, his heart beating irregularly. "Gabriel, do you remember when you were Raphael?" The boy nodded naturally. "I was Raphael. Now I'm Gabriel. But I'm still me, Daddy." The simplicity with which he spoke about such complex subjects was impressive. For Gabriel, it was as natural as saying that yesterday he played in the park. "Why did you come back, son?" asked Maria Helena, trying to control her emotion. "Because I love you very, very, very much," answered Gabriel, opening his little arms. "And you were very sad. Jesus said that those who love very much can come back to their family." That week, they decided to take Gabriel to meet Isabel Salomão at Casa do Caminho. It was important to have guidance on how to deal with this unique situation. When they arrived at Casa do Caminho, something magical happened. Gabriel looked at Isabel and ran toward her as if he had known her for years. "Aunt Isabel!" he shouted, hugging her. Isabel smiled, but was surprised. "Hello, dear. Do you know me?" "You told Mommy I was going to come back," answered Gabriel, as if it were obvious. Isabel got chills. She had never seen Gabriel before. He was born months after that conversation with the grieving parents. During the conversation, Gabriel demonstrated knowledge that a 3-year-old child shouldn't have. He spoke about heaven, about angels, about how it was before being born again. "Up there is very beautiful," he explained to Isabel, "but I wanted to stay with Mommy. So they let me come back in Mommy's tummy again." Isabel was moved. In decades of mediumistic work, she had witnessed many phenomena, but that case was special. "You have a miracle at home," she told the parents. "Gabriel is living proof that love is eternal." But Gabriel had one more revelation that would leave everyone perplexed. At 4 years old, Gabriel began doing something that left the entire family intrigued. He drew constantly, but not common children's drawings. They were maps of places he called home from before. "Look, Mommy," he would say, showing a drawing full of details. "This is where I played when I wasn't in the tummy yet." The drawings showed gardens, houses, people dressed in white, a very bright light in the center. Gabriel drew with impressive precision for a child his age. "Who are these people?" Maria Helena would ask, pointing to figures in the drawings. "They're my friends from there. They take care of children who are without Daddy and Mommy," Gabriel explained naturally. But the drawing that most impressed the family was one Gabriel made on a Sunday morning. It was a portrait of an elderly man, with a white beard, gentle smile, and very kind eyes. "Who is this, my love?" asked Juan Carlos. "It's Grandpa Chico," answered Gabriel excitedly. "He's the one who said I could come back to you." Maria Helena and Juan Carlos looked at each other. Grandpa Chico? They didn't know any Chico in the family. That afternoon, they took the drawing to Isabel Salomao. When she saw the paper, her eyes filled with tears. "My God," she whispered. "This is Chico Xavier." Isabel explained that Chico Xavier was one of Brazil's greatest mediums, known for his kindness and dedication to children in the spiritual world. He had passed away a few years earlier. "But Gabriel never saw a photo of Chico Xavier," said Juan Carlos. "So what?" retorted Gabriel, who was playing on the floor. "I saw him up there. He's very nice. He said that children who die small can come back if Mommy and Daddy need them very much." Isabel remained silent for a few minutes. Finally she said, "Gabriel, can you tell me more about what Grandpa Chico said?" Gabriel stopped playing and looked seriously at Isabel. "He said there are many sad children up there because Mommy and Daddy get very sad down here. So he lets some children come back to make the parents happy again. And how did you choose to come back to your parents?" Gabriel smiled. "I didn't choose. The heart chose. The heart knows where love lives." Those words, coming from a 4-year-old child, deeply touched everyone present. But Gabriel still had one last revelation that would change how everyone saw life and death. Gabriel had turned 5 when the most extraordinary event of this entire incredible story happened. It was a Saturday morning when he woke up different, more serious, more thoughtful. During breakfast, he looked at his parents with an expression too mature for his age. "Mommy, Daddy, I need to tell you something important." Maria Helena and Juan Carlos stopped eating, paying full attention. "I'm going to forget," Gabriel said simply. "Forget what, my love?" "Forget that I was Raphael. Forget the house up there. Forget Grandpa Chico." His voice was calm, but there was deep sadness in his eyes. "They said that when the child grows up, they need to forget to live the new life properly." Maria Helena felt her heart squeeze. "When will this happen?" "Soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later. But first I want to say everything I remember." And then Gabriel told things that would never be forgotten by the family. He described details of life after death that no 5-year-old child could invent. He spoke about how souls recognize each other through love, about how they choose their new families, about how suffering on earth is only temporary. "Up there, there's no sadness," he explained. "But when we love someone very much who stayed here, we feel a nice kind of longing. Then some can come back." "Why were you able to come back and other children can't?" asked Juan Carlos. Gabriel thought for a moment. Because you loved very strong. Very strong love makes bridges between worlds. He took a paper and began drawing one last time. A bridge made of light, connecting two houses. "Look," he said, "this house is me up there. This house is you down here. Love made the bridge so I could come." On the following Monday, Gabriel woke up as a normal 5-year-old child. When Maria Helena asked about Raphael, he looked confused. "Who is Raphael, Mommy?" The memories of the previous life had been completely erased. Gabriel became just Gabriel. A happy, healthy, loving child, but without memories of who he had been before. Maria Helena cried that day, not from sadness, but from gratitude. She understood that this was natural, necessary. Gabriel needed to live his new life without the weight of previous memories. But the miracle had happened. Love had conquered death, and they had 5 years of extraordinary evidence that life continues beyond what our eyes can see. 20 years have passed since that day when Gabriel forgot his memories of Raphael. Today, he is a 25-year-old young man, a pediatric doctor, specializing in caring for children with kidney problems. A coincidence that Maria Helena and João Carlos never considered chance. Gabriel grew up as a loving, intelligent son with a special sensitivity for helping other people. Although he doesn't consciously remember his previous life, there are characteristics that remained. The same kindness, the same affectionate way of treating people, the same love for his parents. "Sometimes I have strange dreams," Gabriel confessed to his parents in a recent conversation. "I dream that I'm in a very white room, surrounded by people dressed in white, who treat me with great affection. And I always wake up with a feeling of deep peace." Maria Helena and João Carlos looked at each other. Some things never change. The family's story became known in Juiz de Fora and the region. Many parents who lost children seek out Maria Helena for comfort and hope. She always shares her experience with love and humility. "I can't promise that all children will return like Gabriel returned," she says, "but I can guarantee that love never dies, and that our children, wherever they are, continue loving us." Isabel Salomão, who lived to be 100 years old and recently passed to the spiritual world, always considered Gabriel Raphael's case as one of the most beautiful examples that reincarnation exists, and that love is truly the most powerful force in the universe. Casa do Caminho continues active, helping thousands of people every year. On the entrance wall, there's a photo of Gabriel as a child next to a plaque that says, "Love builds bridges between worlds." Equar. Gabriel, who discovered his own story at 18 when his parents decided to tell him everything, reacted with impressive serenity. "This explains a lot," he said simply. "I always felt I had a special mission in this life." And he really does. As a pediatric doctor, Gabriel has already saved hundreds of children. His colleagues say he has a special intuition. He can diagnose problems that other doctors would take much longer to identify. This is one of the most beautiful documented evidence that death is not the end, but just a transformation. Gabriel Raphael's case teaches us that when we truly love, we create bonds that transcend time and space. Sources of this incredible story: book Os Dois Mundos de Isabel, by Daniela Arbex; Casa do Caminho, Archives, Juiz de Fora, MG Family Testimonies, names changed to preserve privacy. Medical records from Juiz de Fora Hospital. If this story touched your heart, leave your comment sharing your own experiences or reflections about love that transcends death. And don't forget to subscribe to the Circle of Lives channel for more real stories that challenge our understanding of life and death. Did you like it? Share with someone who needs to know this story of hope and eternal love. Because love truly builds bridges between worlds.